What's up, everybody? Alan here. Today we are going to take a look at the Carpet Creator as part of the new Wind Reactor module for Foliage Renderer. You've maybe seen me work on this on a live if you've been poking around here on the YouTubes. But this is going to be like the final walkthrough for documentation purposes and whatever. So let's get right into it. All right. I'm setting up a little scene here. This is like a little test scene. It's going to be an example in the Wind Reactor project. I'm going to use this for some of the marketing stuff. I need to fill in this grassy area with some more grass, and I've already got a bazillion little clumps all over the place, as you can see. I'm in Unity 21 because I'm terrified of upgrading, as you also should be. But if you're not, don't worry. Everything still works for you too. So what we want to do, though, is we're going to make a carpet mesh, which is going to be a bunch of clumps glued together so that they're a single instance in our terrain data, which means reading terrain data will be faster, because that can be the slowest part of FR still, is just getting the things to draw. The objects don't really matter once we get them, but the smaller the things we have to get, still better. Okay. But we want it to be lush, so we want lots of instances, so let's glue a bunch of instances into one mesh, right? To get there, we go to Window, Foliage Renderer, Foliage Carpet Creator. I've already got mine docked right here. So let's hit Jump to Origin. That's going to fly us over here where we will be able to see our preview mesh. Preview mesh always gets built at the origin. Not trying to make it fit in scene view and blah, 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 blah. Okay, get it right here. And as you can see, I've already started populating this. So if I hit randomize, it'll spit me out a list. But we're going to extend this targets. We don't just want to use grass A. Let's use a bunch of the grasses because we've got them in here. As long as we can share the same shader, we can use as many materials as we need, one per mesh. And these will be automatically atlased as we go. Okay, so let's add a target here. Let's add grass B. Let's put the grass B material on here. Okay, now we've got a mix. Change some spawn weights around so we get a little more grass A's than we get grass B's. Okay, and we'll add another one. Let's add grass C and the grass C mesh, which gives us some tall ones. Cool, that's looking pretty good. That's a lot of variety. Okay, now we've got a few more sliders here we can play with to kind of suit our needs. We could make a smaller carpet. Let's just stick with 10. It's the default. We can change the density so we get sparser spread of stuff. Depending on what you're doing, that might make sense. Like if you wanted a bunch of rocks, right? If you had a bunch of single rocks, you could spawn a bunch of rocks at different spots and make like a rock carpet like comes in the FR box. We'll just stick with one. Now, we want to encode pivot to color, so we're going to leave that checked on. I'm going to go ahead and leave this in here. I'm going to leave all these on as an example asset in the project, so you'll have this to work with too. So what this is going to do is it's going to plug in the local position of each instance into the vertex color. Okay, so we're going to use this so that vertex wind still works even though everything's all together, right? Okay, we need encode index to UV1. This will put the index value of each instance into the UV1 coordinates. Don't really have a shader application for this at the moment, but there is the potential for lots of cool stuff in terms of randomizing things on the shader side that encoding this information would let you do. So I've gone ahead and put this in here, future proofing for you shader folks who want to tinker. And then apply random rotation. This one's pretty obvious. If we turn this off, everything's just lined straight up at the camera. That's no fun for grass clumps. We want it random. Okay, and then preserve channels. This is what data from our original meshes do we want to copy onto our new mesh. In this case, we have UV and normals. You could also do tangents or additional UVs in here if you needed to. Okay, so that's everything. We could hit randomize a few times till we get one we like. Kind of like one where the edges are a little ragged. That's pretty good. All right, now we're going to hit export mesh, and we're going to want to put it in this grass folder. So we're going to have to choose Where in here this goes? Unity terrain, grass, new folder, carpet example. Okay, open, save. So we'll call this grass carpet example. And now for every texture property in this shader, it's going to atlas out the textures for all of these things. So if we look in here, carpet example, it's gone ahead and it's made the different terrain heights that might be used because we have Foliage Renderer lit as our shader for these. So these we don't really need, right? These would be set automatically by the material property block, but the carpet system doesn't know. It's not smart, okay? And I don't want to give it like a magical blacklist that I have to maintain. That feels fragile. So we're just going to hit delete on those. We don't care about those. So here's what it did give us that we do want. We've got our normal map, check. We've got our main texture, check. We've got a material, sweet. It even gave us the mesh, of course, obvious. And it went ahead and gave us prefab. I don't know why the preview's so super dark, but it is. There you go. Okay, awesome. So this is ready to just plug right into our terrain. So let's go do that. So let's hop up here. Let's fly over to where we were. I think it was over here. Yep. Great. Go to our terrain, activate, because I don't know if that button exists and Unity hates efficiency. I don't know. I just work here. Okay. All right. We'll plug in our grass carpet example. Check. We'll select it because it's not automatically selected because Unity hates efficiency. See, I didn't make it up. All right. And we'll start putting this down. I'm just clicking sparingly because I don't need them like wall to wall, but I do want a bunch of them. But I want them to, sort of blanket. Now you could use microverse or whatever to put these down. I'm just doing this scene real quick and dirty just to get enough stuff for, trailers and screenshots and whatever. You get the idea. I'm going to put some on this hill so that we have plenty over here. And now you're thinking to yourself, but this is terrible. Look how they stick through the geometry, right? Like, look at this. Look at this. Oh, abysmal, right? Calm down. We've solved this before, you may remember. We solved this in FR1 way back when with the rock carpet, right? So, what do we need to do? We go in here to our material. We are going to turn on Align Mesh to Terrain Shape, and then we are going to have to nudge things around with the Y offset because you see it's slightly under the ground. So we will scooch this around, find the magic number that it likes for our terrain. Okay, looks like we might need a slightly different scaler. That looks better. Okay, so I did expose this height map scaler. This was a feature that has been in FRDS for a little bit. As you change Unity versions, they've sort of changed what this magic number is under the covers, and we used to make that assumption in the FR lit shader. Now it's exposed for you. So now we've got our scaler where we're good. We've got a Y offset that's very minimal. That looks about right. Cool. Everything's good. Everything's good. Now let's take a look at what's going on with our wind. So right now vertex wind is just on, and you can tell it's a little subtle. Let's enhance. These whole things are just like bobbing up and down, right? Like big billowing sheets. That's not what we want. We want this to look like every little clump of grass is still doing its little grass business. So we're going to go change vertex wind mode to this new with pivot option. And we're going to go over here. We're just going to make this a little easier to see by cranking up the wind speed. Okay, so you can see our trees are now like going crazy back there. Fine, we're going to get this grass going a little bit crazy just so we can see very clearly that it's working the way we want. And for that, we probably just need to turn our stiffness down. And now we can see instead of the whole sheet of grass billowing like this, now all the little clumps are doing their little clumpy business and rotating around their origins. Great success. So we have added a ton of grass in only, like, I don't know, less than 100 instances. We've covered this whole area in tons and tons of grass. It all sorts right. It all looks good. It's all doing wind at its correct, accurate world position the way we like. And it took like 10 minutes with me explaining it to you. So imagine the possibilities, right? You have a sparse scene. It's at the limit in terms of how many things you can load. The memory's rough on your terrain data. Now you can replace those single clumps with little carpets. That'll give you the coverage you want with no extra overhead. Just slightly more mesh, slightly bigger meshes. But FR already renders that stuff for you super fast. So you'll be good to go now. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. As always, hop in the Discord, show us what you're working on. Let us know any new features you want to see that go along with the wind system here. I'm looking forward to seeing what, oh gosh, those trees just look hilarious. Let's turn this back down to like 1.3. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and goof with this. I was about to make you watch me goof with this, but you all know how that works. All right, guys. Enjoy.